As a director of leadership development and leadership training, our next guest is going to discuss some of the challenges, victories, and what she's learned from being a leadership development trainer after the COVID-19 and before. Hey, let's talk about it.
I love getting people to that next step in life, whatever that looks like. So when I stepped into the training side and the L&D side of things, it just really allowed me to help grow people and grow myself, and grow the next generation of leaders.
Hey, greetings, leaders. Listen, have you ever thought about starting your own podcast? Anchor has tools that allow you to record and edit your podcast right from your phone or computer. When hosting on Anchor, you can distribute your podcast on listening platforms like Spotify, Apple Podcasts, and more. It's really everything you need in a podcast in one place. So, do me a favor, download the Anchor app or go to anchor.fm to get started. And always remember, leadership is influence and service.
Greetings, leaders, and welcome to another episode of Leadership is Podcast. This is Season 3, Episode 26 with my special guest, Miss Lola Beaver. Lola is a learning and development, leadership development, and leadership coach, and she's been that for over 15 years. From her experience in leading a team and conducting one-on-ones with team members, she's built a passion for coaching. She saw the struggles people had with understanding who they are and identifying their life's purpose. Hey, welcome, Lola.
Thank you for having me. This is a really fun opportunity, so I'm glad to be a part of it.
Absolutely. Thank you. Really, who are you and what do you do?
Oh, who am I? Oh man, that's a lot. You sure you have enough time for it? But no, who am I? I mean, professionally, I work in learning and development. I completely love it. I've done it for over 15 years now in different industries. Right now in the transit side of things, and then also professionally and kind of on the personal side, I'm a life coach. So I am a person who loves to help people get to where they're trying to go, whether it's professionally, personally, relationship, whatever that may look like. So that is me in a nutshell.
Very good. Very good. So if you don't mind, what got you into the life coaching and, the L&D space? What got you into it? I'm quite sure that, everyone that's in that has a story. Uh, so,
Uh,
so what's your story behind that? Why did you get into that?
I've honestly, I felt like I've just always loved helping people. And it's going to sound really crazy because I consider myself kind of introverted, but I'm very sociable at the same time. And just having conversations with people, whether again, it's professionally or personally, I found that I was really good at just relating to people. And why not make a career out of that, right? And for a very long time, I suffered from imposter syndrome. So I felt things that I was doing was not good enough or not well enough. But as I just got really good feedback and started networking more with people, I started to realize um, I communicate well with people. I love getting people to that next step in life, whatever that looks like. So when I stepped into the training side and the L&D side of things, it just really allowed me to help grow people and grow myself, and grow the next generation of leaders. And then on the life coaching side, it's just really allowed me to have people open up about who they truly are and dig a little bit deeper and reach their potential to whatever that next step looks like for them. So it's not just growth for others. It's been a great growth for myself. And I absolutely love it every single day that I wake up.
Yeah, absolutely. I was in a facilitation that you did a couple
Yeah.
of weeks or so ago, and you're definitely a rock star as it relates to the
Oh,
leadership development. Your energy is good. You know how to control the room.
Mm.
and of course keeping the scope of work in line with the direction that you were trying to take us. So
Mm.
excellent job with that. Excellent job with that.
Oh my gosh,
Um,
thank you.
yes, ma'am, absolutely. So what is your definition of leadership? What does leadership mean to you? And also, where do you see leadership going in the next 5 to 10 years, especially considering a post COVID-19
Mm.
pandemic, with the remote work, hybrid
Mhm.
workspace, flexibility, all of those things considered.
Leadership for me, oh man, I mean, two words came to mind when you were asking me this, and it's support and growth, on a personal level and of others. And what I mean by that, and just kind of going into your next question of how has it changed post pandemic. Leadership before was more so coming in and, telling people what they need to do for the day, and you kind of, leaving it at that, looking at the numbers. But now it's so much more interpersonal, and this is something I teach in my workshops. Is it's not just about the numbers anymore. It's really getting truly to understand your employees as individuals, your team as a whole, and not just about the numbers. Like, how are we connecting with them on the coaching side of things? Are we truly mentoring our teams? That to me is what leadership has become. And if a leader is not working more on those interpersonal skills or side of things, I think they're kind of shortchanging their employees, to be completely honest with you, because
Mhm.
it's not just about numbers anymore. We're growing leaders. And to grow leaders, we need to be better leaders. So we should be continuously growing ourselves, and that growing ourselves, we need to be able to support and mentor and coach our subordinates and make sure that they have that path of growth and development to whatever next stage or next steps looks like for them. So it's so more interpersonal than what it used to be.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, that's an excellent perspective as it relates to leadership. So, if you can give our audience three leadership tips, for anyone that's thinking about going into leadership, someone that's in leadership and struggling, or someone that can just use, some additional resources, as it relates to leadership. If you can give our audience three leadership tips.
Ooh, three. Okay. Oh, of many, the top three that come to mind is self-awareness of yourself, know where you are and who you are as an individual and where you're wanting to go. That is so important. We have to start with self first in order to be able to reach out and help others. Secondly, it definitely would be set boundaries with your work life balance, and just mental stability and things like that, because as you go into leadership roles, it gets very complex. It can become very challenging, and you're going to work with so many different personalities. So just remember to make sure you set those boundaries for yourself. And then thirdly is you have to be selfless. I know it almost probably contradicts the first two I just talked about, but you have to be selfless. Me going into a leadership role, it's not about me. I get a lot of my joy again helping others, but when I go into a leadership role, I'm truly looking at how can I better support the people who either report directly to me, my peers, or who I report to. So really going into it selfishly, and really looking to try to help people.
Very good. Very good. So I got another question for you. Have you ever been involved or even under, bad or not present or, not having an executive presence type leadership? And if so, what, how challenging was that? And, how did you overcome that challenge?
I have, and that's a really great question because it's easy for us to talk about, some of the great leaders we've worked with. But I have, I had a leader at one point that just wasn't very present in my development. Um, but it just was in a different scope of the business as well. So didn't truly understand the L&D side. And for me, that's why one of the leadership tips I gave is, or defining leadership as well, is start with self. So although you may not always have the support, you need to be able to support yourself and self-develop yourself at times as well. And then feedback. A person does not know that they may not be providing you the support that you need unless you provide that feedback to them. And I think we owe that to people we report to. If we feel like we're not getting that support, at least put it out there. And then maybe together you guys can devise a plan on how you can be better support for each other. So for me personally, I love feedback. I don't have a problem providing that feedback. If I feel I'm not getting that support from the person I report to, and vice versa, I want to receive that feedback at the same time.
Yeah, very good, very good, very good. I got, I think, one more question for you, and
Okay.
then we'll go. So, how important what will be the real impact? How do you measure the impact of coaching? In a coaching environment versus the employee does something wrong and gets written up or even suspended or fired. Like what would be the impact, the valuable impact of coaching in an organization?
Definitely. And that's a good question, because I believe we have to be able to, if someone is not performing to the standards or the expectations, I think an obligation as a leader, we have to be able to tell them first off why they're not performing, based on, if there is a certain, standard, let them know what that standard is and where they're at. And not just leave it at that, but then go a step further and say, okay, asking a simple question of what do you need from me to help you get to that expectation or reach that expectation, and even showing them. So, I mean, things I've done in the past with some of the people that reported to me is I've gone and probably retrained them, or we've had a workshop as I do right now. But I think it's just really taking the time, sitting down with this person and really finding out what's the root of the problem, instead of just assuming that this person is not wanting to perform well. I honestly don't believe people go into things not wanting to perform well. I think obstacles get in our way sometimes. And I think as a leader, we have to be able to identify those obstacles, whether it's their ability, their skill, or their will, and then find a better action plan to help that person reach those expectations that we set for them.
Very good. Very good. Very good. So if you had to define holistic leadership, what would that look like?
Holistic leadership. I see that as a leadership that is not forced. And what I mean by that is, again, we are continuously growing ourselves from inward to where it reflects outward in a positive manner. So I truly believe, and I live by this, that if we continue to grow ourselves personally first and truly understand who we are, we have a better shot of being better leaders to the people that need our support. And it's not forced. It's not something where we're telling someone to do something that we've never done or never experienced or try to understand. So for me, it's not forced leadership. It's leadership where you literally are working from inward to outward, and truly learning the full picture of yourself and how you communicate with others.
Very good. Very good. How can our audience, reach you, contact you if they would, like to get training, invite you in to do a training, or get coaching?
Oh, wow. Okay. So, life coaching, my business is called Dynamic Body and Mind Life Coaching. I do have a website you can visit, which is www.dbmlifecoaching.com. And then also my email address for my life coaching business is dbmlifecoaching@gmail.com. That's the best way to contact me.
Very good. The great Miss Lola Beaver. It has absolutely been a plum pleasing pleasure to have you on the Leadership Is podcast.
Thank you for having me. I do appreciate it. This has been great.
Hey, thank you so much for enjoying another episode of Leadership Is podcast with my special guest, Miss Lola Beaver, who is a L&D or Leadership and Development trainer. And she gave us 3 excellent leadership tips. Number 1, she says to be self-aware, right? Be self-aware. And that involves what is called emotional intelligence, right? What triggers you for, either positivity or negativity. Number 2, she says you got to set boundaries. And she puts in parentheses with this, with life and balance. You got to set some boundaries. And that's with life and, with life and balance. With business, it's a life balance, in other words, what she's talking about. And then number 3, she says you must be selfless. Selfless, being willing to help others, being willing to go, above and beyond to help those who you lead. Hey, excellent leadership tips. If you would like to hear more of what JM Leadership Development can help your organization to do, as our primary goal is to help you to feel or build your leadership bench, please do not hesitate to reach out. 828-333-7234, or you can send us an email at thejasonmuhammad@gmail.com. And always remember, leadership is influence and service.